So here recently, I've been experimenting a little bit with animation stuff, especially particular with 3D. Because for the most part, is if I can make 3D models and stuff, I can reuse those models for about next to anything. So I've been thinking about that, especially with Shenanigans and a few different things in terms of like a lot of really cool stuff coming out with things like Goo Engine and different features of Blender and different things like that that just make it much more interesting. So here is a drawing of one of the main characters of Shenanigans, Simon, and here's what I've made so far in 3D. This is only progress as of today on January 3rd. Obviously, the model is not finished at all, but for the most part, this is about what I have kind of done so far. And the particular thing that I really want to make note of in terms of what I have so far done has to do with the face rig, because I do really like this face rig. So, man, I'm just struggling with the viewport. So, face rig. As of right now, what we have here are a couple of nerve paths that are placed in here. So, what nerve paths? Bezier curves. These Bezier curves are, for the most part, able to be controlled pretty easily within here. But is if you're doing an animation rig, most of the time, you're not going to want to just go back to object mode, switch over to the nerve, and then move that around. So, Blender has a couple of features known as hooks that you can set up on any of the Bezier curves, which I've got a ton of them here. And essentially, what they do is you can attach empties or bones to any of these points on the Bezier curve. So you can have the center point be movable with the rig, as well as these additional control points to be able to do that, which then in turn looks a lot like this. All of the yellow larger spheres are the center control points. So then you can grab them and move them around like anything else. And then the red points are the control points. The thing about it is that these ones don't exactly move around much of the whole thing, but that's fine. You can still kind of control them all, so it's all good. So these are at least how you can be able to shape the eye parts because of just how the style is. You can be able to shape these parts as well as this. And then because there's no actual like whites of eyes within the style, you don't really have to worry about that shape in particular. All you have to do is just move all this stuff around. Because it's 2D, you will also want to be able to move the positions of all this. So this is an entire bone on its own that then I can grab and move around. So then I can do a side profile or just whatever will work for the camera. The exact same thing is done for the mouth. So then I can control the mouthpiece and move all that stuff around and be able to get all of that stuff done. The additional thing with the mouth is that the teeth are also rigged. These are rigged with a shader system. So that in the shader, there's a couple different things on just the one plane that control the teeth and the mouth positions with a texture coordinate. Just all this stuff merges together so that then all this stuff can be controlled with these bones. So then in order to control the teeth, I can move this point here for the bottom part, as well as the tongue position and size and all that. So in terms of the rigging part of it, those are at least some of the more interesting parts of the rig and how this would potentially work. As well as for some 2D stuff, my plan is to have this part of the hair pretty well rigged, as well as the ears rigged, so that then they can move pretty independently, so that then we can have a side profile like this, or whenever there's a front facing, the ears can be on the side right here and pretty easily movable. Think of how the Peanuts work. The Peanuts movie did a bunch of stuff to where, depending on your perspective of the camera, it would always change and move around and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of at least the most recent thing that I've been doing in terms of a lot of 3D stuff. Obviously, with Blender as well, there is this whole line art thing. So, from like a lot of other angles, the line art's going to look terrible. But from the camera perspective, it looks really, really nice. Like the lines actually are turning out pretty nice. I'll probably do a bunch of stuff to the lines so then they can look a little bit more interesting. But from there, for the most part, so far the lines are looking pretty good. The other fun thing right now is that um, on the hair model in particular, these little green edges right here that I have set up are markings for freestyle. So I use this mark freestyle edge to be able to make those. And then whenever you actually look at them, they are marked by the edges and all the stuff there. So with that, that's kind of about what I've been doing, particularly with this special version of Blender called Goo Engine. Whether or not I continue with it, I don't know. It's working decently for some of the stuff, but for the most part, it's not perfect and it's a bit complicated. In terms of how it works, because I had to set up all this stuff, and to a certain extent, there are certain things about it that aren't working the way that it should. So I'm not super confident with it quite yet. But I mean, like, it's working to an extent. It's 2D. It looks decent, but for the most part, it's a bit rough. But like I said, it's working. It's working all right. And so from here on out, uh, I may end up using it unless I figure out another solution later down the line. But so far, it's working pretty decently, and I know that Goo Engine is pretty good. So with that, that's about what I've been working on with this little project, and I just kind of wanted to put this together to be able to show more people what I've been doing. So yeah, that's about it.